Welcome back, everyone. It's going to be hard to follow up the intensity that we just saw from those two LAN qualification matches, and also to make it into top 3, of course. A lot of money on the line this weekend. But I'm Vaudeville here with Leg Day and Lemon Kiwi to close out Day 2's action with 2 elimination matches. Lose, you go to promo relegation. Win, you stay into stage 2, and also still have a chance to make it into the LAN and top 3 afterwards. But we do have this matchup here, Fire Strays versus Shikigami. And Lemon, I mean, talking about Fire Strays, they have a lot to overcome from the experience that we saw from them yesterday.
Yeah, Fire Strays, they also reached the preseason playoffs, and their year was really defined by this slow climb. But hey, one notable change has been Sestroid. This has been a team that is utilizing actually their substitute players. One of the few teams that do that. All 3 actually, from Sestroid, Demon, Sloppo, are all playing the Cyclops. That was really fun to see, and they really had to pull out all the punches when going up against their opponent yesterday. And against Na'Vi, it's good. I don't think any team is looking like they're in form to try and beat them, but despite the loss, I felt like Sloppo performed really well. He was matching the damage numbers from Terra, but going up against Shikigami, now this is a rematch I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Leg Day. I mean, talking about Shikigami specifically, a lot of people expecting them to win against Rad. They defeated them without dropping a single map before, but they got swept. How do they overcome?
I mean, Shikigami, they have to just start playing their own game once again, because we know that this is a meta where Angela's back on the rise, and Isidore is a very good Angela player. Kaya plays it as well, but I'd love to see Angela really back in the hands of one of its innovators in EMEA. We know Frost Mountain loves to play Wolverine, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Shikigami like try and lean into a bit more of his fastball special. Obviously, going up against Rad's a bit of a tough draw, as they are an incredibly powerful team. But at the moment, I'm looking on how Shikigami are going to be constructing their compositions to get the most out of their incredibly versatile Vanguard line, which is one of their biggest assets.
And hey, the narratives, guys, Shikigami also knocked out Fire Strays from preseason playoffs, and can they do it again? And it was a grueling Game 5 in preseason too, so I hope we get another banger series today.
That's what I'm hoping as well. And this is, a recap of the group stage series that these two had as well. Shikigami a little bit more dominant in that matchup as well, but also a bit of a different meta back then. So might be a bit more beneficial for Fire Strays, depending on what they rock into this series with. But Shikigami and Fire Strays, both of them have the odds against them in this bracket. I mean, facing off against Heretics will be the winner of this series. So good luck after what we saw, them taking Virtus Pro all the way to 5, almost took them down as well. They got to take this one series at a time, Leg Day.
Yeah, one series at a time. The stakes couldn't be higher. The loser of this, as you said, goes to promo relegation, and there's only one spot at LAN left for an EMEA team, and if one of these wants to claim it, they've got to get through some tough contenders in both Rad and Team Heretics as we begin our journey towards victory on Celestial Husk.
Yeah, speaking of Celestial Husk, this will be our first map to kick off the best of 5 in this elimination matchup in the lower bracket. Domination is how we go, and we'll see how this ban draft continues.
Well, I'm excited, Lemon. Leolaz looks enthralled as well. As
yeah,
we get ready to get stuck into our ban protect.
And Layla's has to be locked in. This is the win condition for Shikigami. I felt like Frost Mountain has looked like a Frost Hill at times. Yeah, he could be the absolute carry, and he could also be a liability. He got fully countered yesterday playing that Wolverine. He stuck to the Wolverine against Thing, Emma, Adam, Luna, like a lot of things that made his life a living hell. Even with mag bubbles, just the rocket res beacon brought everything that Frost Mountain was trying to achieve yesterday back into the picture. So I'm hoping Shikigami can explore more strategies if things start to not work out.
Fire Strays with the first protect here on Cyclops, which means there's going to be one-sided gambits available for Shikigami, which is a huge pickup. But maybe Fire Strays have something up their sleeve here, can definitely utilize some of their depth of hero pools when it comes to those duelists. But having your primary hit scan on the Cyclops, as we saw from Terra earlier today, can be absolutely domineering. And now Shikigami going to start peeling away those strategist options, since Fire Strays currently don't have any protect on strategists, so they may find themselves at the mercy of Shikigami's bans.
If Fire Strays opted to protect the Cyclops even yesterday towards the end of the series was a huge, an important part of their strategy. But who is going to be playing it for Fire Strays? Is it Sloppo? Is it Demon? Is it Sestroid? It depends what the starting lineup is going to be. And to be allowed to play Rogue as well is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if Rogue would have been banned if Gambit wasn't available for them, to be honest. Like, I know Rogue's in a stronger place than she was prior to the patch, before some of her power got redistributed from that team up towards her base kit. But Shikigami, they see, like, you don't have any strategists protected, so we're just going to keep peeling away more and more of the good ones. We're likely going to see, like, a Jeff come out here, potentially an Invisible Woman. Cyclops is going to be mirrored here. Fire Strays, they are at least going to have access to the team-up between Cyclops and Wolverine, which might be a huge power play, but I can't help walking away from this ban phase wondering if they didn't put a little bit too much faith in everything that wasn't a strategist.
I mean, Layla's went like X Games mode yesterday. He dropped 50,000 damage and 17 final hits on Midtown for the loss. So it's like a lot has to build around Layla's, but this has to be a well-rounded Shikigami because this Cyclops matchup is going to be really great, but it's about the team, the supporting cast around the Cyclops that is going to be interesting, along with the one-sided Gambit versus the one-sided Rogue. A strong brawl from Fire Strays, but even better, kind of a game-winning ultimate from Shikigami's side.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to try and find those win conditions as easily for the side of Fire Strays here. As we get stuck into Celestial Husk, it looks like Fire Strays might actually opt in to a triple strategist here, including access to that, maybe not the same uptime as Mantis damage boost, but can be a little bit more important for boosting up something like a Ruby Rage. Never mind, Sloppo instantly proves me wrong and goes over onto a 2-2-2. And Binary is going to be picking up the team-upless Rogue.
We'll see how that fares. I think it's one of the first times we're seeing Rogue like without the Gambit, because like I think it was like Heretics that was allowed to play Gambit and Rogue in this case. Yeah. But I think Sestroid is such a boon too for Fire Strays, because yes, him and Sloppo can overlap on the Cyclops, as we'll see where this portal ends up, but Sestroid can also flex to the triple strategist. So Blackso is setting up for an interception, but now deciding to just play towards the point.
Yeah, I think realizing that with like this double hit scan setup, actually going in close and personal for a fight, not in their favor. Fire Strays want to play this slow, look for pokes and openings between Sloppo and Sestroid, and oh, good dodge there from Blackstone. Manages to avoid a punch of damage from the Wolverine early on and get the passive.
Yeah, passive is out. Frostmount's going to have to slow his roll, and you see that Blackso is putting the press on, and with the team-up of the Invisible Woman, you get that extra pull, which may just hinder some of these brawl heroes from Shikigami's side. As the first picks come in for Fire Strays, they will be capping first.
I mean, unfortunately there for Shikigami, that was just a bad disengage. 3 squishy players in one corridor where you can get bounced on by Sestroid. Blackstone is able to hit all of them with the Dark Maelstroms as well. Disgusting cleave.
Thanks for the boost.
And you're going to need some of that cleave against Isidore's Cap, which is one of the more formidable ones in EMEA. And I like that Snos is on the white box so he can, you know, teleport away. He could try to charm and negate some of this, but Fire Strays are front and center trying to build up some of these strategist ultimates before Shikigami engage.
All right, early Rogue engage here. Quick pull, mitigated by Kai, going into that Diamond Form and gaining CC immunity. Still, Binary wants to try and keep this high ground contested to keep Frost Mountain off of it, but the poke is not going to be ideal. Nice grab hit by the Rogue here, but Binary is still going to be isolated, so a 2v1 has to be managed up on the top. Binary, though, is working some magic here. Even with the pocket on Frost Mountain, manages to find the elimination. Nasty stuff.
And it's nasty to win that fight without needing to invest a single ultimate. Like, Closer was keeping that first invisible boundary close to his chest. And Binary being so good at any of the Brawl Vanguards that we've seen throughout group stage, whether it's the Hulk, and now it's going to be his specialty of the Rogue. Would have been nice to see that matchup against Isidore, but Shikigami are not going to have the pleasure of running the Rogue. It will have to be the Cap, who has to synchronize kind of this hybrid dive, put pressure on the flank, but right now the pressure's on Blackso to give up the high ground.
Okay, but here's the coup de grace of the comp ready to go. A Raging Royal Flush from Lindstrom out from the Gambit onto most of Shikigami. They take cover inside of the invisible boundary, but Closer has now erected on the point as well to make sure there's no free cap given over to Shikigami. Binary makes a deep dive, and now it's going to be a freedom charge, leading forth members of Shikigami, but on the other side, Snost has brought out the Kumiho, the big stepper, ready to try and meet Isidore in a little bit of a melee battle, and Binary's buying space for the remainder of the team. Ruby Rage can't find any frags on the outside, taking cover behind the shield to get away from a Galactic Legend. Frost Mountain sees Binary getting a little bit spicy for Mike Takes as he moves away from the remainder of the team, and now Fire's Vanguards have been decimated.
And through all of that investment from Shikigami to only get 2 eliminations, like, they really had to shove Fire Strays, who were taking such good shelter around their strategist ultimates, even through Black. So not stunning anyone. That might have been through the Eye of Agamotto. That might have been a result of Kaya being front at with the EMEA, as Sloppo will have the Galactic Legend, and he's coming in from behind. Shikigami don't have a strategist ultimate to answer, and Sloppo's gonna have to pull the trigger.
Oh my goodness, the Star-Lord guy coming in from behind. Very impressive. Great angle, but good cover as well. So Sloppo's mostly entirely mitigated. He's going to have to try and fly away. He's bonked his Widow head. Oh, Leila's quick to try and punch that one out. The concussion beams get it done. Kai's got 54 energy to work with and a lot of space on the point to commandeer. For Fire, I think this one's cooked. They're back to spawn.
I'm surprised that Fire Strays couldn't push through the front lines to try and combine with Sloppo's synchronization issue for Fire Strays, but they did get to 99%. They just got to build a good stack of ultimates, but Shikigami could go the distance. I mean, they got the Ruby Rage. Maybe the stars will align for them if Fire Strays continue to push through this low ground.
For now, just checking Binary up on this high ground, but Frost Mountain's learned the hard way, but you don't want to stick around against Binary for long here. The pole's ready, the kicks are strong, diving on in, and Binary's got it done again for the opener, and that means that Lindstrom has to pull the trigger on the Gambit ultimate to try and rescue this fight right here and now. Double strategist ult from Fire. Lads, we've overlaid them. The Ruby Rage as well. It's all pulled on in by the Rogue. Unbelievable synergy from Fire Strays, and they're looking on Fuego today as Shikigami ascends to the 9 Hells, opening a portal.
Here's another hurrah from Shikigami to try and keep the overtime wick burning, and it's Isidore that has to sustain and delay for as long as possible, as Kath will assist. The Eye of Agamotto from Blackso gets no one, as Leila's tries to stand tall.
All right, nothing gained by the Ruby Rage this time around. Blackstone's been taken on down by Leila's in the neutral. And now Kai, you've got to try and get past the full charge of the EMEA. But still, Fire Strays are in control. And so it's Shikigami have to stay on the point no matter what. Isidore's going to be one less option to try and do that. Sloppo finds them on the outside. Starts to work the margins here as the Sonic Seduction grabs in Binary. But where's the follow-up? The Heartbreak is almost available. The anti-heal's been given over onto Binary. Sloppo once again around the back has the Galactic Legend, moves in towards Kath, but it's taken too much damage from the Cyclops. The aim battle, even with the aimbot, is not going so well right now for Peter Quill, and Frost mounts a bit of more than he could chew. The Dark Maelstrom into the midst of them means Shikigami has no Vanguards on the point, and Fire Strays take away the first Celestial hand.
And I love Sloppo's style on the Star-Lord, the way that he's able to coordinate with his team when he can go on these off angles and sometimes even full flanks. And I think like he's taking more conservative angles, so he is able to disengage back towards his strategist. And he gave a lot of respect to Kath, because as soon as she noticed the Star-Lord, she could have gone for a freeze. And only 4 casualties for Fire Stray's side. Like, they were so good at disengaging. Like, that was basically like 100 to 99, and Fire Strays only went down 4 times. Like, talk about this push and pull and how they were able to find so much shelter, which Shikigami had to keep committing ultimates to finally get just a few eliminations, just enough to zone off the point, and then Fire Strays were able to retake just that easy. So Fire Strays take the first point, and I'm not seeing huge changes in the composition, but minus Isidore on the group.
Damn, now I want to see Binary with the Gambit team. It's been nasty on the neutral road so far, and still has a Heartbreaker to play with.
Oh, Frost Mountain on the Bucky, a few changes for Shikigami to strengthen their neutral, but it's going to be a lot of poke from Sloppo and Cestroid's side to kind of dismantle these Isidore walls. You have to really pay attention to those and how they're going to section this front-to-back fight, as Cestroid has an angle.
Well, the poke is strong. And, well, the Bucky can't really deal with it right now. Going into the Fox form, quickly transforming. The Kumiho has been unleashed. But nothing to step on just here. Throwing a little tantrum on the point, but they're going to be calmed down soon as Fire get the cap.
And it's almost like you don't want to play on the point. You want to play on the high ground, the perimeter, because that's where the hit scans have so much good cover. They can even get access to your backline, and Sestroid has that map knowledge, gets that first pick, gets the snowball going for Fire Strays, and now they can depend on a Ruby Rage. It's almost like all the pins of Shikigami come through this choke. This could be disastrous. And worst case scenario, Closer has been really good at having more passive invisible boundaries that Fire Strays can fall back to. Oh, canceled!
Oh, the surprise there coming through from the Wolverine, who's Frost Mountain's primary target. Big strangling prison, grabs in two, and the follow-up is solid from the side of Shikigami. Get it done with 2 ultimates. That one's a bargain.
And no rage from Sestroid. The ultimate canceled. The thing that Fire Strays were supposed to initiate with just waited too long until Shikigami shot him down. And now they're in a defensive position. Frost Mountain on his signature Wolverine. A good swap from the Bucky after he was first picked. And he's already trying to pull a Vanguard in.
Oh, Layla shouting out, "Behold my Ruby Rage!" And Closer saw it too close that time. Fire Strays have already called this one after losing out on their Invisible Woman, and that's going to be this fight sent home.
The neutral is so strong for Shikigami. They can pull with the Wolverine. They can wall off with the Groot. And this combo, especially to defend with, is massive for Shikigami. Kaya can also hang off the ceiling or the walls outside of this cave and pounce and line things up to buy even more time for Shikigami.
All right, welcome Black Toe Cook here. Walled off, grabbed in, floating all above. Cloak of Levitation now on cooldown. It's going to make the Eye of Agamotto a touch more difficult to grab. Already Closer taken down again. Kai was diving in the back while the distraction was in towards the front. There's always another angle that Shiki are playing, but not the one to heal Frost Mountain, unfortunately.
And Kaya feasted the Abyss right onto those strategists. Closer falls, and you're missing a bulk of those heals, especially like group healing that the Invisible Woman provides. Shikigami definitely in this driver's seat. Fire Strays trying to break up the attention.
Nasty hops, 3 stuns, but Kath manages to survive. She pops the fate of both worlds, and now Znos has to decide if they want to really commit to this one. Grabbed in by the Wolverine, and even after being freed into the White Fox form, there's too much follow-up. Soppo thinks it might be winnable, takes to the skies with the Galactic Legend, looking towards the back, wants Kath, but the boy block is solid. Get behind the tree, get behind me, but the tree is broken down from the punch dimension itself. Kyan unable to really survive in on this one, but still Shikigami are tagging in one after to be able to keep this point contested. Frost Mountain running low on HP, needs someone else to come in and do the job, but with 98% grab, Shikigami say this is done.
And I'm glad Fire Strays are finding confidence, because most of these fights have been dictated and initiated by Shikigami, who've got to set up and execute their game plan. Fire Strays lost a couple of people and decided to still invest those ultimates. So really commending Sloppo to create some of this chaos, as now he's creating an off angle, but you still have to get through those Groot walls.
Yeah, a lot of homework to be done when it comes to breaking down those Groot walls. And a Strangling Prison ready to go for Isidore as well. Has to worry about the Guardian Shield here from Closer. If you do it at too much of a range, it could be blocked and completely no-sold by a quick draw from Sue Storm. For now, though, Shikigami have full control of the high ground, so they choose when this fight begins. Isidore drops on down, trying to help out their Wolverine and Ironwood Wall to isolate Binary, who gets grabbed on in and starts to use the Heartbreaker. It takes away Isidore's ult temporarily, and it ruins the plans of Shikigami.
Man, the Fire Strays Vanguard line is such a highlight, and now one last touch. You see that Binary's trying to prevent the portal from Frost Mountain from coming through, or at least is going to spot it out. Returns to his team. Closer has been so patient with the invisible boundary, and you have the strategist advantage to Fire Strays.
All right, big control on the point right now for Shikigami. Closer got two squishies. What happened with that portal? There's a counter coming through from the other side. Now Binary body blocking as you're inside now. And in Sestroid's big house. Sestroid is the boss. Consider yourself destroyed as between the dimensions, Blackso opens the Eye of Agamotto, and he sees all the futures in which Fire Strays can sweep away domination from Shikigami.
What a step up from Fire Strays, especially this backline. Closer keeping the Sonic Vortex right at the entry point of the portal. And Fire Strays standing tall despite getting punched down upon by Shikigami. I mean, that was such a tug of war from both teams, and Shikigami will have our choice of map after this.
The first time domination has been taken in favor of Fire Strays against Shikigami so far this season, preseason included. So a good win for them to start off strong and potentially prevent the promo relegation bracket run that they would have to make in the stage 2 if they fall in this series. Shikigami, a lot to work through, but we got to talk about the stars of the show here, Lemon specifically. I mean, we saw some great performances from the Duelist lineup, but everyone involved on Fire Strays.
Yeah, Fire Strays ended up putting Sestroid on the Cyclops and allowing Sloppo to explore how maybe his deeper Duelist hero pool, but it was Binary being allowed to play the Rogue and to do so without the Gambit team up, and like they really proving to us that Rogue's buffs are massive for her.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that Fire kind of got cooked in the draft when they ended up protecting Rogue with no Gambit, but it would appear that Binaries had this up their sleeve all along, hitting some excellent pulls as well to peel like the Wolverine. Somehow managed to get multiple assassinations onto Star-Lord as Rogue is uncanny stuff, and it would appear that like the respect just wasn't given over from Shikigami for the neutral Rogue and really hit a bunch of surprises.
And I'm surprised that Shikigami didn't even win the second round. Like, they had such a strong win condition. They were defending. They were able to have the Venom engage, Isidore wall off anything that Frost Mountain kidnaps. But kind of the running theme for Shikigami is that Frost Mountain starts off well, but then eventually gets countered. He has the highest amount of casualties because the Wolverine is such a punishable hero to go up against. When you have Black Soul on the Doctor Strange, who has the team up with the Invisible Woman, having that extra pull, that extra second that you can dump damage into Frost Mountain, even through the passive, he can be bursted down, and Fire Strays had the answer.
And that's what has been like a good look so far for Fire Strays in the past, right? Black Cell, the way that they perform on, you know, the Groot or the Doctor Strange has looked really solid in the past, just to have that kind of wall of protection for their team. And I feel like the Shield Vanguards are kind of underutilized in this meta, especially just keeping your just alive, but also flanking around whenever they're trying to get towards your backline, just pulling them back in with the Psionic Mayhem team up as well. So it's nice to see the coordination from Fire Strays. It was a little bit lacking when we saw them in their upper bracket series, but of course, you know, they're facing off against the EMEA preseason champions in Navi, and now they're playing Shikigami. Kind of two different competitor levels there specifically, but I want to talk a little bit about Shikigami going into this next map here, Leg Day. I mean, we've seen the highs and lows of this team and roster, from Cooking with Kaya to now Shikigami here in Ignite. I mean, it just seems like they're a shell of their former selves.
It might not be the greatest meta for them, as I don't think Leolas is as comfortable a hit scan to like stand and shoot, you know? Like Cyclops is kind of in that Hela kind of Phoenix role, where Leolas has been good previously, but I think that Leolas really has all of his power when he's fully mobile on certain that aims, like a Star-Lord, an Elsa, or maybe even a Psylocke. But it does, like, I thought this was going to be a much better meta for Shikigami, because like in theory Isidore Frost Mountain is a great combo for the fastball, but it appears to just not be being deployed as much as I'd like thus far.
And surprised that Shikigami didn't take the map. They had a one-sided Gambit, and that's Lindstrom, who's able to give them such a huge win condition around that ultimate. But the disengage from Fire Strays was so commendable. Even from the first round, Fire Strays only had 4 casualties through the storm of ultimates that Shikigami put on. They would engage with Gambit, and then Closer would have the perfect invisible boundary to section off Shikigami from their engage. So I'm really liking the spacing of Fire Strays as Shikigami opt for Spider Islands.
We saw it for the first time, at least for playoffs in Americas yesterday, and it went a decent distance, but didn't go all the way to 3, ended before then. And then we saw it earlier on today when Fate just had the crazy eat to close things down and make sure that they looked really good on that map afterwards when they were on the attacking side. So I'm really curious what the strategy is going to be in terms of like the composition for these teams, but we'll have to figure that out as we go into the ban and protect phase. It's all yours, Leg Day.
Well, one thing to note is that I believe that Demon has been subbed in here. We'll have to see whether it was for Sloppo or for Sestroid, as Mantis once again goes through the first ban. And, well, Rogue banned early here from Fire Strays. They don't want to have to deal with that from Shikigami, and they are going to match the Gambit this time.
So fair. And again, the Fire Strays utilizing their whole roster. Same thing as yesterday when they ended up picking Manhattan. They brought Demon alongside Sloppo, where Demon then took over the Cyclops duty, and Sloppo got to play some of the Bucky. But then when that wasn't working out, Sloppo went back to the Cyclops, and then Demon pulled out the Wolverine. So there's some nice overlap with Fire Strays, and it gives them options to pivot.
All right, Daredevil taken away here. I mean, like, they're really trying to constrain Frost Mountain here. A Shikigami. Make sure that there is not going to be a Cyclops on the other side. And as you said, that's what Demon played previously. So maybe trying to track the introduction of Demon here. Because not only does Demon play the Cyclops, but also plays the Wolverine. So he got rid of both the Cyclops option and the team-up for Wolverine, which makes him a lot stronger.
Fire Strays trying to force Shikigami into that Wolverine matchup, and Shikigami clearly picking this map to maybe a Hail Mary. They picked Symbiotic Surface yesterday to try and find these nice off angles for the Wolverine, and I wonder if it'd be better to combine it with a fastball, which friends from Shikigami did not opt for on map 1, but did so yesterday, and that kind of helps Frost Mountain close the gap a little bit better, as the Cyclops will be the one that accompanies not that Wolverine, as that's the final ban for Fire Strays. So what is Frost Mountain going to end up playing?
Yeah, they really are pinching the Frost Mountain pool here. There is a reality where Shikigami like a spawn breaking here, where we could see Frost Mountain play the Storm, but that might be a far-fledged hope. Could even see a pivot over to something like an Ultron to get that consistent damage boost over onto Cyclops instead, to allow for maybe a bit of hard carry from Leolaz. Overall, I think this is a little bit more of a classic ban phase between these two teams. We're not seeing any strange rogue protectors come through.
And I think you're really throwing Shikigami off their game to be fully targeting Frost Mountain, which now you're probably forcing him on some kind of hit scan. I know we've seen some inklings of Psylocke, but I wouldn't say that's his favorite. So we'll see how Frost Mountain fares. If it's a Star-Lord mirror against him and Sloppo, then I would go more on Sloppo's way, just with the wealth of hours that he has on the hero and kind of what opportunities he was creating when Sloppo took more safer angles on Celestial Husk. Being an access to his strategist made a whole lot of a difference. So Frost Mountain hovering over the Storm would be fun to kind of break out a spawn and guide his Vanguards with.
I mean, extra damage for Isidore and Leolaz would not go amiss, especially when you're trying to break through Blackso's shield rather early. You can see that this is probably going to be an attempted disengage, as Blackso doesn't have the remainder of fire here to try and help him hold this space.
Usually kind of, I was going to say, Storms are more often played with more Vanguards to kind of just be that bulldozer, but then opts for the Torch to just control the area that the fight's going to be taking place in, and maybe funnel and herd people into a space that Kaya can engage into.
Not a huge fan of it against these particular duelists, though. Sloppo's going to be able to consistently ground them with the Painted Voltage. They're still actually caught between the objective and the edge for now, but a safe disengage here from Kaya is going to feed over plenty of strategist ult charge.
And once you enter this section of the map, this is where Binary can look for opportunities to grab people. And once you deal with that the ironclad wall from Isidore, then he could be a victim as well. Leolaz will be forgiven as he's brought back thanks to Kath, and Shikigami are at a standstill.
All right, Kaya's consistently catching so many hands from Sloppo right here. Very accurate with the rod to stern. Isidore did not have the CC immunity ready, but just about hops away as the Ironwood wall is brought up in his wake.
So far, so good for Fire Strays. This is going to come down to ultimates to try and break this hold. The Sloppo already has the Kraken impact. Blackso could float in with the Eye of Agamotto, and there's really no strong shield for Shikigami, but again, Shikigami take fights so fast.
I mean, just the jump scare there for Winter Soldier, I had no idea. Nice back cap here, though, from Demon. Might be able to get some damage over onto Kath, but if he does lose his life on the... Oh, he knows the perfect angle for the bounce.
Yeah, Shikigami with these first picks. I mean, they get to dictate these fights, but it's how Fire Strays are able to not give up too many eliminations and refight so fast.
What a wall.
What a wall.
Unbelievable peel. Out comes the Ruby Rage. Leolaz doesn't really get too much off the back of that, as there was a quick cleanse coming through from Lindstrom on the other side. Who's Kai looking for around the other side, though, when it comes to that ultimate? Feast of the Abyss doesn't appear to have gained too much as Blackso falls on down. Shikigami have momentum on their side.
And Blackso did fall pretty late, so the portal, there needs to be some kind of stall for Fire Strays if Blackso's going to want to portal back in. Seems the defense has stabilized, and it's Demon creating so much pressure on all sides to kind of have Shikigami fall back.
Dude, Cat's playing some disgustingly ratty angles right now. Demon doing their best to have some fancy footwork in midair to avoid the incoming flame clusters of a human torch. And it seems to now they've escaped the auspices of Frost Mountain. Shikigami, they've mostly fumbled the momentum for now, as Fire are now in a defensive position with 2-3 ultimates to play with.
Yeah, they really have, because Shikigami invested like a whole bank and they thought that that was going to be enough to fully cap. Now the ball is in Fire Strays' court, whether it's how Binary wants to trap some people in, and Closer is going to help them with sustain.
All right, grabbed in. Heaven's Retribution. Sloppo is just absolutely dominating with the Kraken impact again and again and again. The yells of Bucky Barnes echo through the Spider Islands, and this one's back to the drawing board for Shikigami despite their investments.
See, Shikigami had to pivot their game plan, and Fire Strays had to as well. Not having the Cyclops, they were able to utilize it through, I'm pretty sure, like every map in playoffs so far. But the flexibility of Sloppo and Demon, and how Sloppo is giving his Star-Lord over to Demon. So this is such a good team that bails each other out. I want to see some impact, though, out of Blackso and these Eyes of Agamotto, because they haven't been hitting a lot of targets so far in the series.
The Iron Fist, I like it against the Angela. Good to try and disrupt that mid-air roll here. Sloppo's got a great angle to play with, but Isidore might be able to chase them down. Does Blackso get a stun onto anybody? It seems like it's mostly gone awry. Ruby Rage now coming in, and Snosh just gets decimated. The second they use their ultimate as well. And so now that's gone for Fire Strays. One of their greatest tools has been plucked from their hands. They need to grip tightly now towards the cast, as Kai is going to try and hold it alone. Fire Strays have such aerial supremacy here off the back of Damon's Element guns, gunning down anyone who dares to approach Shikigami, are held short of a completion of Thirst.
There is so much aerial domination with Demon in the sky like that, and it's nice to see him just back into the series, back on Fire Strays, and just like he never left, fitting in those shoes beautifully. And for Fire Strays to deny Shikigami's full first point cap, to then drawing this out into a full hold, which is so incredible. Shikigami tried to pivot, like you said, the Iron Fist, but there was so many things on Fire Stray's side to break up their focus, whether it's an Angelo flying around, Demons going on the flank. Shikigami's strategists are looking up to make sure they don't get tackled, to make sure the Galactic Legend, they have to find shelter from that ultimate. So Shikigami just could not thrive in that chaos and didn't have an answer, and that's kind of what happens when you ban two of Frost Mountain's best heroes.
Blackso, show me your actual hero. I'm warning you. There it is. Lovely stuff. Shikigami now are up against the wall, and so desperate measures will be deployed. Frost Mountain's hero pool has been squeezed substantially, and so it's time to deploy the Adam Warlock instead, alongside the Loki, for additional karmic revivals.
And Binary is having an excellent series. He hasn't fallen once in this map so far, and he was our MVP on the Rogue, on Celestial Husk. And will he be able to maintain supremacy in the skies? A Demon goes flying thanks to the fastball, and he's gotten one, but the mag bubble maybe helps bail Kaya out.
Yeah, good bailout there. Great reactions coming through from Leolaz. Off-rolling here onto the Magneto. There it is. Binary now has one casualty after biting off slightly more than they could chew against this thick defensive composition.
You have to mark where this Ironwood wall is for Isidore, because you don't want to target that Groot and waste your time on it. Demon doesn't even have to be thrown in. He's just in the neutral as Isidore tries to keep him caged out, and Fire Strays need to help Demon.
Yeah. The help comes on through. Leolaz taken down, but resurrected here by the Battle Recall Beacon, dutifully provided by Cat. The Fire Strays, now they have momentum. They start moving through. Free Rage for Damon. That has to be careful, because Regenerative Healing Factor has already been used, and that's a big grab there onto the Groot. There's so much control onto these Vanguards, and there aren't enough bubbles to go around. Leolaz doesn't have one left for himself. A quick pop in to grab the health back, and Damon can keep on rolling down mid.
And this is how Fire Strays won Celestial Husk, how they're able to slow down the game. But can you slow down Isidore's strangling prison, mitigated now by the invisible boundary, as Fire Strays set their sight on the finish line?
Oh, even more from Sloppo, but doesn't appear to have gotten any extra casts of the Kraken impact, and so can't shut down the Resurrection quite as easily. A Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to try and bail Shikigami out of this sticky situation. You can see that Damon made a fast exit from the midst of the team. Is now instead just going to try and chase down Kai, who gets grabbed out by the Bionic Hook of Bucky Barnes. And now the last stand is prepared. If you're not CCMing, you're going to be in deep danger. Bring Isidore to the crowds. You're not entertained. You're all eating vegetables tonight as we cull the flesh of Groot. A point to be captured. Then it's going to be Legolas who has to stay here off the back of that portal, and I'm stuck on the Doctor Strange.
And also, Closer fell off the map. Is that a result of Kaya? Like, what happened there? Fire Strays need those heals and need more impact out of these ultimates. Demon got one, but the res is on Shikigami's side. They just keep on going. And now they'll have Lindstrom also on his most preferred hero, on the Loki. A lot of options there as Kaya on the Angela, hoping to have that the Heaven's Retribution. Fire Strays trying to play as far back as they can, but Binary now engages and harasses the strategist.
All right, one grab already. Over onto Legolas. Takes to the skies with the Cloak of Levitation, but Kai's been taken down. And so it's under-resourced here for Shikigami. A big grab through. Slowpoke. He manages to get stunned. A three-person ultimate from Legolas. Yeah, there's going to be a punishment coming through from Damon, but I think the damage has already been done. What a hero play from Reflex God.
Now, if only Blackso could do that. I'm waiting for that game-breaking ultimate for Blackso. Because there's no shields. There's no invis to push this back. Blackso, if he locks in on this next ultimate, it could be game over. Or you just Gambit, or you just Raging Royal Flush from Znos. Fire Strays, they coordinate just one good final push. They will win the map, but there's less than a minute. Shikigami are not giving up, and they're not surrendering.
Binary with Feast of the Abyss ready to go, but has lost the high ground that they were staging on. The Frenzied Arrival is going to be a little bit more tenuous now as they move towards the back line. They're actually buffed up here by the Gambit. Oh, it's going to be a second Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but both Kevin Lindstrom are down. Oh, no resurrections this time, I'm afraid, fellas, and that means that Legolas has to try and take this all on alone. Blackso hasn't even had to distribute the Eye of Agamotto stuns for now as the counter portal strong, and so too is the drive. Fire Strays claim the map.
That puts them on series point. Fire Strays, the way they can bank these ultimates and create so many fighting opportunities, and how they're able to bail each other out. Slopper with a huge Kraken impact back on the Bucky to strengthen their neutral. Fire Strays able to slow down the map, deal with the Groot walls, mark the mag bubbles, and proceed from there on out. I mean, Fire Strays look incredible. What else does Shikigami have up their sleeve? We'll find out after this.
Seems like Fire Strays have found the multiverse where they are the ones who win the series against Shikigami this time. 2-0, one away from guaranteeing their spot in Stage 2 of the competition. No promo relegation for them, but Shikigami, I mean, this is a team who placed very highly in the preseason, did well in the group stages as well, and it just feels like the meta isn't in their favor, but that might also have to do here, Lemon, due to the bans that have been happening against them.
Yeah, the double duelist ban against Frostmount to get rid of the Daredevil, to get rid of anything in his arsenal, including the Wolverine that Shikigami had to go to like tertiary compositions. That did allow the Rocket to slip through, which Kath was able to help them win that first corner fight with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. But then when you have a loose Star-Lord in the sky, that ultimate is not going to last very long.
Oh man, it's such a tough spot to be in for this Shikigami team, because it felt like they had some stuff working for them at the start there, but it just didn't afterwards. Talking though about the MVP that we had of this specific map, it's got to be Slapo coming in, especially with the Kraken impacts we saw leg day.
Yeah, like there's so much utility you can get out of Bucky now. Now that Bucky isn't kind of outclassed at mid-range by Phoenix, is really finding himself as like the premier mid-range bruiser of the duelist stable, with the explosive damage of Rotterdam, the constant slows and grounding effects from Retainted Voltage. And of course, when you're going up against all those resurrections, as you pointed out, the Kraken impact can make those very vulnerable players into a playground for the Winter Soldier.
And I wonder if Fire Strays, they look good in this meta because they have 3 choices of hit scans. And I wonder how hard that is to do homework on them when what does Sestroid, Demon, and Slapo play? I mean, there's so much hero overlap, while Shikigami have really only Leolus as that, like, at least consistent hit scan. I was wondering if Frostmount was going to bring out any kind of hit scans, because we know he can play it, but Shikigami are really scratching their heads, especially losing their map pick.
This was the first time, too, that we saw the Human Torch actually coming out for Frost Mountain during the playoffs. I was hoping to see maybe a little bit of that, too, but with Ultron backing them up, it just seems like they don't want to go for that kind of an option in their current play style. So, I don't know. It just feels like a mismatch of the meta for this team specifically. Hopefully, in this next map, they'll be able to figure things out. But last time these two teams faced, and it did go to Convergence specifically in the preseason playoffs, it was actually Fire Strays who took it in overtime for Symbiotic Surface. So I don't know if necessarily Shikigami want to go there specifically. There's a couple different options. We could see the Lower Manhattan. A lot of teams have been going for it as well, but I'm more curious on the strategy we can expect from the Shikigami team, right? It's tough when you're facing off against a roster like Fire Strays leg day that has such a deep bench that they can pull from.
Yeah, at least you do get some insight into what they might be planning for when you see who's in the lobby in the ban phase. But here I'd love to see maybe Frost Mountain, if it makes it through the ban phase again, pivot over onto the Star-Lord once more. Because I think that Star-Lord and Cyclops is a good versatile duelist line that is going to maybe give a few more options for Frost Mountain, who currently is being pretty heavily squeezed. Like, he's the primary target of most of these bans.
I mean, potential for maps here, Lemon. What are you feeling would be the best option for Shikigami based on what we've seen in the past? Would it be like a Central Park angle? They've looked good there before, but who knows?
I don't know, right? Because it's Shikigami were allowed to play the Rocket because Fire Strays double banned some duelists. So you could go into a map pick with Wolverine in mind, Daredevil, some kind of brawl. Central Park will be the choice, which maybe the Human Torch could be like the nice backup plan for Frost Mountain. So like worst case scenario, you do that, and this is the best map for it.
We'll see if their comfort pick in Central Park will be the difference maker for Shikigami to turn things around and try and get our first ever reverse sweep here as well. But it does have to go the distance. We'll see what they can do as we get into the ban phase.
All right, let's get stuck in. Question is it once again going to be Gambits making his way through? We have seen like some variety in the bans in particular coming through from Fire Strays, but Shikigami seem to be sticking to their guns, and it has seemed that Fire Strays, they've cottoned on to this idea. Let's just squeeze Frost Mountain's hero pool, make him uncomfortable, get rid of the Daredevil, get rid of the Wolverine, and see how Shikigami respond.
And they could be responding in a reverse sweep, because funny enough, what Vaudable said is that Shikigami were able to deny the reverse sweep out of Fire Strays that was starting to form in that preseason playoffs, where Shikigami got the last laugh and advanced through the lower bracket. So mirror bans so far, but my question is, what are we targeting duelists? So now Daredevil, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for Fire Strays.
Okay, great ban here from Shikigami. The Invis Woman being taken off the board is a signal to me that Shikigami want to play their patented defensive flyer comp with Ultron and Angela and Human Torch. I wouldn't mind seeing one of those get banned away by Fire Strays here, but we have seen Shikigami, like, they beat Na'Vi on Central Park with their flyer defensive comp. It's kind of their, it's the ace up their sleeve, but it doesn't work amazingly with Gambit, which could be problematic.
Yeah, Angela is so strong on this map, and the biggest hindrance is the Invisible Woman. Everything in the Invisible Woman kit stops the flight of Angela, slows her down, especially the Invisible Boundary. Like, you are just molasses if you're Angela in that ultimate for some reason. So, like that's being protected for Fire Strays. That's a composition they're going to be going for, and Shikigami will deny will protect the Wolverine last here for Frost Mountain. So, Fire Strays are going to know what Shikigami are running, and vice versa.
Okay, the Invisible Woman, I was talking about how it affects the flies, but also affects the Wolverine as well. The Force Physics will pull Wolverine off of their target during the Feral Leap. So it would appear that the Invisible Woman ban, even if we haven't seen much of it thus far from Fire Strays, well, we obviously saw a little bit of it over on Celestial Husk, does actually enable a huge amount of Shikigami's preferred picks to have their full power level.
And the full power level of the team up with even Blackso, who like to run a lot of the Doctor Strange so far in the maps. Actually, both maps he ran it out, and the Invis Woman helps, like I said, with that extra pull on his Maelstrom. So it is series point for Fire Strays, and starting on defense first this is the defense sided map that there is. And Blackso, one of the best routes that we have in EMEA. Once you don't have that Doctor Strange team up, it's pretty obvious where Blackso's going to go. So Shikigami really have to consider what kind of poke you're going to be putting out to deal with those walls, or do you just get around it, literally dive around it?
Just go over it, baby. Admittedly, Blackso, this is in theory a great meta for him. Blackso is one of the premier Groots that we've got here in EMEA, and Groot certainly has found his place in the slower meta of 8.5. He's been very good at resurging with all of his walls.
And now you have the Ultron. We don't get to see the triple strategist too much. Mantis was such a core piece of this, and now you'll have the damage boost from Sloppo. He's already given a drone to Demon. He's going to be as mobile as ever now that Torch got buffed in that way, but Shikigami just got the red carpet towards the point. Surprised there's not more choke pressure here for Fire Strays.
Oh, they've already forced out Binary's Yancey Street charge as well, so that's going to be a significant cooldown, but will have to be waited for. But Kyra and Isidore currently getting cooked by Demon. This could be Shikigami actually just trying to build up a strategist. Oh, what a grab! Demon ain't getting out of that one. Great accuracy from Frost Mountain. Welcome back to Ignite. We missed you.
And Fire Strays will have to just play safe, but man, their Vanguards are taking so much damage. Shikigami building up already towards the first Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, which could be what tilts the scales in Shikigami's favor if it's not going to be the straight-up limbs.
All right, Sloppo grabbed from the air with the Tainted Voltage that we noted before. Last time it was Sloppo using it. This time it's Leolaz. Actually grabbed from the air there by the Exile was Damon. He is having a bad time getting consistently chased around by everybody. Blackso gets ready to open up the Pentagram of Ferala for a last secondary contest, but we're going to be going straight into the path of Frost Mountain, who just has to try and avoid that Yancey Street charge. Attempted grab onto Ultron, won't grab much, but the last stand is ready to go on the other side. Can't get the thing up into the air, as he is, of course, immune to displacement effect, but the damage is just as strong, and Frost Mountain carves through the Vanguard line.
Yeah, you have that fastball. You have a good brawl team around you. If Frost Mountain is well supported, Shikigami can come back in this series. And they panked up like every single ultimate. Ikath had the first one, and they end up just copying the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier for Lindstrom to be that final push, the nail in the coffin, once Shikigami had already halfway captured it. So Fire Strays, now they have the one-sided gambit. Znos has to provide a consistent win condition for Fire Strays to kind of come back and stabilize.
Oh, going after Demon. There's a feral leap on the second side. Not going to be getting it this time. Now it's Nos' turn to strike in his own stead. Out comes the Raging Royal Flush. Binary comes out with the clobbering time as well, directly onto Leilas, but inside of these regeneration domains, there's no damage to be taken. What a perfect response to come through from Lindstrom and Kath, making sure there's so much damage. It's brave here from Sloppo, and they can't save Binary, but the BRB can. A second chance is all that they ask for. A huge ultimate coming through the Strangling Prison, but is there going to be a follow-up is the question. Leilas doesn't seem to have afflicted anybody here with the culling aura, and so Fire Strays feel free to just roll on forth and counter-strike with their own ultimates. A brand new regeneration domain, no frags to be seen, but with Kaya down, Shikigami can't claim the space quite as easily as they'd like. Still Frost Mountain feels the opening, tries to shut it down. Binary just runs them over. Roadkill Wolverine, victim of the Yancey Street charge.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a tug of war. You thought Black Zone maybe overextended, so Shikigami invest ultimates, and it was such a kind of nice chess match between Kath and Closer of, you know, saving. I think it was Leilas who got bumped by the Thing ultimate, and then Fire Strays responded in the same way when they were getting pushed almost to Dracula's castle. So far this is pretty even, but Shikigami are the ones that are reset as Leilas on his signature Starlord once again. You have unlimited skies and angles to take around, but it starts out Demon's way.
Yeah, Demon hunting for Kath on that off angle. Still, there might be a chance here with the Raging Royal Flush to make it work. Leilas going in towards the back. What a steal right there that came through from Lindstrom. Managed to get LOS onto Znost. A quick stellar shift for an iframe flip. And Frost Mountain's looking for a victim. Take to the sky and maybe you can punish someone.
Yeah, and the big difference between the two fastballs of a Hulk versus Thing is CC immune, while as the Hulk provides a team-wide bubble. I mean, if you're close enough, and if you're not around, if you're not close enough to your Ironwood wall, you're gonna get kidnapped.
Oh man, no one can get onto a point either just because of a constant interference onto the Vanguard line. The fear of Frost Mountain. Sometimes, though, it's all about the implication of the Wolverine.
Fire Strays will be pushed inside of the castle as Shikigami's patience pays off. This is also a really good push so far, and they banked up the ultimates to get it done. But why Fire Strays want Celestial Husk is their ability to slow down the fights and the game, how they disengage. They don't have the invisible boundary, though, because that got banned, and Binary's about to get banned out of this fight.
Man, they're putting a buy in Binary right now. Farewell, my friend. Just grabbed constantly by the Wolverine. Damage, did he just roll past the Hulk? He doesn't care about that. Farewell to Regeneration Domains. The Blast Barrage is going to get through those rather quickly, and Black Sword has hit an absolute banger of an ultimate over here. And there's a follow-up coming through. Sloppo shut down before they can get a reset, though. The Kraken Impact has been shut down in its own right. The tracking strong from Leilas. The mechanics are on display, and Shikigami are back in the driving seat.
After 4 ultimates invested, Lindstrom's gonna have the copy, so going for the Raging Royal Flush would be ideal, and I wouldn't even mind the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. You gotta be proactive and take an early fight.
Dude, Binary just can't play the game. He's having a bad Marvel Rivals time right now. Frost Mountain can now just cut through the Vanguard. The Symbiotic Resilience doesn't last for long. Taking to the Sky Demon, moving through with extra damage. Closers amp them up with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. And so the Galactic Legend will be born here and now. But inside of the Regeneration Domains, no damage can be done. Shikigami have to make a choice. Frost Mountain doesn't appear to have grabbed anyone there with their last stand. But Isidore's going to be a little bit more lucky. Moving towards the Sky, the Heaven's Retribution, and Binary is going to smash on down onto the back line. A radioactive shield is applied to multiple members of Shikigami, but it's not enough to stop the roll of Fire Strays as they're barking mad, ready to go.
And Lindstrom is so elusive. Like, Fire Strays are spending so much time trying to deal with all the doppelgangers, maybe trying to find the res beacon of Kath, but Fire Strays able to find a breath of fresh air. But how long will that last as Shikigami portal in?
Isidore going to move into a Monster Hulk form, just managing to get through there and apply the shields. Looking towards Closer, primary target here for the Hulk. The peel is going to come through from Black Swan on the other side. That means that Binary is not going to be getting nearly enough care. Instead, just going to try and trade themselves out here for Leilas. Soon, the portal will disappear, and now there's no exit strategy for Shiki, but right now, for exit strategy, is just to finish the map, plain and simple.
It's going to be between the Raging Royal Flush versus the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Shikigami have the damage buff, and it's enough for Leilas to get 2.
Oh, Frostman's just going to absolutely tear through the Venom here. The extra HP, all it does is allow the Wolverines to do even more damage. For Symbiotic Resilience does nothing against the angry Canadian this close to Canada Day. Sloth says it needs to be done, and so uses the Gambit ultimate without everybody being present. Sloppo, do you dare to use your ultimate? No, too much damage is in their fight right now. Lindstrom comes in with a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Leolas has grabbed 3. There's no one's coming onto the car. Black is going to be the last chance, but he's evicted by Frost Mountain. Oh, the legends have told of it, and here it is for Shikigami Slingshot.
What a difference of two galactic legends. One becoming more of a myth and ending earlier. Leolas, though, just 6'5" out there. He had the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier with his galactic legend, whilst Fire Strays, they had the Raging Royal Flush, then I believe expired before the galactic legend from Fire Strays came out, so you didn't have that extra buff. And Demon, I mean, was so aggressive. He was like tumbling into Shikigami solo, which Leolas then 180'd, dealt with him, and then dealt with the dominoes that fell for Fire Strays. A full capture on this map is so rare to see, so Shikigami are setting themselves up for a potential comeback.
Okay, Shikigami don't even go for their signature defense here. They're like, you know what? This fastball's going so well, I'm going to stick to it. Like, it's very rare to see a Wolverine out-damaging a Star-Lord. Like, that's not a knock on Leolas. Leolas being very efficient with her damage, but Frostmount is just getting so much berserk state right now from being constantly thrown around by Isidore that it's just so sad to be binary. Homie's not getting to play the game at all.
Shiki have opted away from having Kaya on the Magneto and instead having Isidore on the Hulk to be able to throw him in while still being close enough to the Hulk where Frostbound can be bailed out by his team with the extra bubbles. A lot of Frostbound's picks, though, were brought back by Rocket. So at this point, Fire Strays aren't opting for that. They're going to have the double Raging Royal Flush.
Oh, Demon has to expend their jump pack to get out of there. Question is it a full reset on the hero choice here? Maybe we'll go back over to the Star-Lord.
Yeah, Shiki able to take some angles to start building up towards these ultimates as Frost Mountain looms and wants to combine here with Isidore on the opposite high ground as Blackso maybe wants to play this from front to back, but Kaya's so far back that you can't really wall him in.
All right, brand new fastball, brand new attempt, and the fear is in the eyes of Fire right now. You can run, but you can't hide. The angry Canadian always gets his mark.
And the Star-Lord not able to go for the Blaster Barrage for those iframes in that moment, because as soon as you're on your back, it's just good night for you. Fire Strays, they gotta watch out for this Wolverine. And how do you stop it? You don't have a lot of options to get to this high ground. Sloppo has to be able to go for the hook first, but Shikigami are always engaging and throwing this Wolverine in.
Yeah, like the Wolverine has such excellent staging areas from the high ground here as well. They can always try and surprise you while you're being distracted by the vanguards of Shikigami.
And the Hulk bubbles are on a pretty short cooldown, so Isidore is spamming them as much as possible. Fire Strays looking for a good strangling prison, and Shikigami will try to mitigate against it. And they usually do it by just spacing out. They're so far back, allowing Fire Strays now to have Demon on the flank.
Regeneration domains have been expended here. There's an opening here for Demon. That's a big ultimate coming through. Oh, what a mitigation. Unbelievable stuff off the back of the Hulk bubble, which stops all of the culling aura. And there's the counter punch. Left, right, good night. Nice play coming through. Is that real closer? No. Okay.
Just target practice.
Yeah, you know, just stay in limber.
And Shiki taking damage, but not falling is what's key. Lindstrom and Kath are building strategist ultimates faster than Fire Strays, which is what defined that last fight. Now, the ball is in the court of Fire Strays, starting off with the Raging Royal Flush. And then you could go for 2.0 if Shiki decide to portal in, but you need success on this first swing.
All right, here comes the Gambit ultimate, surely. It's going to be coming through from closer first. Raging Royal Legend perhaps on the cards, but it's going to be Lindstrom with the copy Cosmic Yarn Amplifier instantly decimated. So much damage went its way. Isidore tries to turn it around. A world to break is presented before him, and Close has already been stunned on out. Now Snoss needs to come through with a second play, but it seems like it's going to be a better Galactic. Oh, he's got again! Frost Mountain, you absolute madman! The unbelievable Wolverine nuclear blast onto Peter Quill.
what is that, 99% capture for Fire Strays, and I'm looking at Isidore. What a stall to create an opportunity for Kaya to portal back in, and how they're able to go back to spawn for heals and to keep on fighting. This is not a sprint. This has become a marathon, but with the time bank left, Fire Strays need a sprint, and also they need to worry about who is in the sky.
The approaching fighter jet taken on down. No longer had that regenerative healing factor. Sacrificed it earlier to try and beat out Damon in the door, but guess what? The resurrections come through from Kath on the other side. Black's looking for an opening. Sends it on down. Is the... Oh, the bubble's good again! Oh, I can't believe that Isnord's managed to no-sell 2 separate Kraken impacts. And so that means no resets, even if a frags do come on through, and Isord's lost access to their Hulk form. Kaya overwhelmed as Blackso tries to claim for space, and now Sloppo looks towards the top. Leila's incredibly low in their own right. It's TP'd away to try and get back to their strategist, but they're too concerned with who's on the point right now. Kath tried to dash on forward. Leilas has got nowhere to go, and Fire Strays at the last moment rescue themselves.
They have to rescue this time bank too. This came down to the wire and took almost everything out of Fire Stray's arsenal. I mean, 2 Raging Royal flushes and Shikigami, and then also Fire Strays had pretty much almost captured the whole thing. They just needed a bit of a push, and now this push has to be unstoppable because Fire Strays need to make up for some lost time. Shikigami trying to take some high ground. It's a battle of 2 Groots, and here comes Frost Mountain again.
It looks so comical when you see it from someone else's POV. But for now, Blackso is going to survive the onslaught of the Wolverine. Logan's not going to get his man this time, but they have forced out so much early. Close has been forced to use the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Doesn't last long against the double guns of these duelists, and so Kai is taken down easily by the buffed up players of Fire Strays. They were incensed by the ultimate of Closer.
And this is back-to-back Cosmic Yarn Amplifiers from Shikigami that only last less than 3 seconds, but in exchange of ultimates, as Fire Strays try to go to the end, they have to stop Leolis.
Leilas from the top. Who did Blackso get within their ultimate? Seems like it might well have been no one at the moment, or at least no follow-up is ready to go. Damon round the other side, looking for some victims. Isidore's going to have so much health to try and chunk through, but it's light work for someone who looks like this. Sloppo can't get away. Isidore just claps on through. The radiation, Bucky can't take it. Oh, the Geiger meter's going off the charts right now, and so too is the hype for the Shikigami fans as they hold strong on second.
They hold strong because of this Hulk. Look at these muscles. I mean, Isidore, every time you think Fire Strays are going to capture something, they're going to get the ball rolling. Isidore just has 1,000 health to try and get through, and he allows Shikigami to build up towards another 60% to a Loki ult. As here comes a fastball, maybe a curveball, and now Scouts to the Skies returns to safety, and Fire Strays on red alert.
A new jump pack being waited for here by Frost Mountain to extend the kidnap should it go on to an to an unlucky Vanguard. Kath deploys the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. BRB is going to be sacrificed for it, but Slopper's already gone down on the other side, and oh my goodness, the tide of Shikigami has certainly come in, and Fire Strays, they are for now just going to be fleeing away desperately.
I like that Shikigami take a quick fight there, especially when kind of the windows of engage. If you can identify, Venom is very cooldown based, and once Binary is going after the res beacon, Shikigami take a quick fight and annihilate Fire Strays, which a solo Groot is not enough to stop a tidal wave of a push. Less than 15 seconds, or Fire Strays will drop a map for the first time this series.
Binary to the back. Already forced out the regeneration domain, trying to go all in here onto Lindstrom, but he just teleports into the next regeneration domain. A last stand's already been seen. Lindstrom brings out the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but fear not, my friend. Leilas has already done the work. Shikigami digging their heels, and they say no, you move. They defy the hands of death. They deny promo relegation, and our series is extended to a map number 4.
The survivability of Shikigami's backlight. I mean, I gotta commend Kath and Lindstrom that have done their best to maximize the value of the double Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but to waste Binary's time, I mean, you create basically a 6v5 as Fire Strays could not hold back against Shikigami, who will claim their map pick of Central Park. Now, Fire Strays, do they have the map pick to end this once and for all? We'll find out after this.
Welcome back, everyone. We just saw a potential Shiki Slingshot start out here strong for Central Park. Win for Shikigami. They still need a full reverse sweep, though, to avoid the promotion relegation tournament. And Fire Strays, of course, they want to lock in and make sure they can shut that down and move on to the next round against Team Heretics as well. We got to talk about the slingshot in the room, or the fastball, I guess, here specifically, which is that team up that we saw between the Hulk specifically and the Wolverine, which just seemed to be on lock for the Shikigami team here, Lemon.
Yeah, I like that Shikigami fell back to old comforts around the brawl, whether it's like getting away from like the Angela stuff from the previous map and focusing on the Hulk to be able to set Frost Mountain up into the sky. He's a bird, he's a plane, and he's always got somebody with them. And when you combine that with the Hulk, just the bubbles and kind of the sustained sufficiency that this team is able to create to support Frost Mountain has been incredible. And Fire Strays just didn't have an answer to this guy.
Taking so much damage as well. I'm just noticing too for their team. Just like, my goodness. You got to give a big shout out too to the strategist lineup, right? The regeneration domains that we saw too from the squad were on another level. Like Lindstrom MVP on that end too. Calf doing a great job as well with the Cosmere amplifiers. I feel like here, leg day, that like everyone came together for Shikigami to get this victory, and they needed to do that.
Yeah, we saw the fastball special that I've been begging for so long. Isidore getting so much value out of the Hulk. They really managed to win out every single group ult trade off the back of that unbreakable guard cast from Isidore. Because when everyone's together, thanks to the strangling prison, everyone gets the bubble. That means that Sloppo often could not apply any culling auras from Kraken Impact, nor do any damage with it to those trapped players either. And guess what? That also did so much damage to the bubbles that gave Isidore a bunch of ult charge to shut him down thereafter and stall out points. It was a good strategy overall, but I'd love to see Shikigami stick to, and it's also going to require some attention in the ban phase now from Fire Strays.
And Fire Strays, I felt like, went for solo dives at Binary, and Shikigami's backline, what a step up from yesterday. Like, Lindstrom and Kath, so survivable, whether it's the res beacons, the Loki. I mean, Lindstrom was getting away from Binary, and they were playing hide and go seek off into the side, and Shikigami's heals never went down in that case. Kath and Lindstrom support each other so well, and Binary had 14 casualties from overstaying his welcome in Shikigami's backline.
Gotta give a shout out to, of course, to Layla's really stepped up to on the Star-Lord 18 final hits to their name, and the Galactic Legends were also brilliant and didn't even need the combination that we see from the Raging Royal Flush. And it seems to be a win con for Shikigami, is we don't really have to worry about playing Gambit too much. We can just focus on the compositions that we're comfortable with, and it feels like that is going to be their win condition going into this next one. But I'm thinking we're likely to go to domination just based on us being told that Cestroid is going to be subbed in and a Demon is out, and likely will be the case for what map we go to. Burnin' T'Challa. We've seen these teams actually play on this one before, and this actually was a 2-0 victory specifically for Shikigami last time they played. So an interesting pick, I would say, for Fire Strays. We'll see how it pans out, but you know, Leg Day and Lemon, we'll see how the ban draft goes, because I feel like that'll really decide who wins this map.
And we've got to see how they respond to the new stimulus that has been added to the gameplay zone now off the back of those fastballs. Then the question is, are we going to see a protect onto something like the Invisible Woman as well? Because it felt like that ban in particular last time was a huge enabler of all of these strategies.
Yeah, that allowed to mitigate a lot of the dives, and that was such a huge, just a comfort pick for closer and for Fire Strays to be able to disengage and to section off the fights, especially like they did on Celestial Husk. But I really got to commend kind of the overlap of heroes on Fire Strays, where Cestroid probably going to be given either the Cyclops now that that's protected, while Sloppo will flex around it, probably going to be the Star-Lord, and he's even brought out the Moon Knight at times. Like, Sloppo can play anything. Just unfortunate that the Bucky didn't work out on Central Park, because it was hard to get any neutral pulls when Frost Mountain was diving them all the time.
Fire Stray is going to protect the Rogue again? Last time they did on Domination and just had Binary playing it in the neutral. Oh, wait, no, Shikigami banned it second. Yeah, they headed that one off at the pass this time. So we're going to see a rare late protect onto Gambit. And Fire Strays, of course, now with two of their hit scan players, in both Cestroid and Slopodopolis, are really putting a lot of faith in this Cyclops.
And Fire Strays had the choice of either banning the Wolverine or the Daredevil, and they opt to keep forcing this Wolverine matchup, thinking that if they fix up their composition, they really focus down Isidore, maybe everything comes tumbling down around him, because Isidore only had 2 casualties as a Hulk, who was constantly stalling, constantly throwing Frost Mountain in, so maybe the approach has to change for Fire Strays if the composition does not change.
All right, taking away Kath's Rocket Raccoon for now. That is going to mean that the kidnaps from the Wolverine are going to be a little bit less extended, of course, as is no one going to have access to the jump pack, and a better recall beacon is going to make sure that you can't play as audaciously, because any trades can't be traded out as effectively.
Fire Strays being able to have Rocket and Gambit is kind of nice. We'll see if Shikigami stick to kind of what won them the map before, but also Domination is going to play even faster than a Convergence like Central Park. So can Shiki maintain this fast tempo that they've been able to create? And how Fire Strays are going to try and mitigate that storm, or how can they play at that same speed? Sestroid back on the Cyclops. He was putting up numbers against, I think it was Terra yesterday, while Sloppo will flex around it. Sloppo's Kraken impact on the Bucky, incredible on Spider Islands, not so much on Central Park, so still trying to figure out what would be best for him.
All right. Binary here is going to have access to the Captain America with the Lunar Snowflake as well, which can be a real issue in the backline. I'm going to be interested to see where Kath puts her own Flake for now. May put it onto Frostmaster or onto Leolaz to allow for more audacious flanks.
And same thing for Closer, giving that Flake to Sloppo. Gonna try and time this well, as on the jump, Fire Strays are surprised.
All right, now we've got to break out of the little cage they put themselves in, admittedly, but being down in a primary Vanguard doesn't mean Fire probably not going to be able to contest the point here, as they can't control the space very well.
And this is kind of reminiscent of Celestial Husk, where Shikigami can, quote, win a fight, but off of 1 or maybe 2 eliminations, and Fire Strays can refight that much quicker, being able to reset. Binary on a signature cap. I've been wanting to see him more in a front-to-back brawl style, or even hybrid, than a full Venom dive into the backline. So I'm already liking this composition a lot better for Fire Strays.
Yeah. Going to give him a lot of power to move on forward. Kai already losing out on quite a bit of... Oh, my goodness. Oh, Black Soul's having a bad time once again. Grabbed by the throw, but there was no last stand to follow up on it this time. Is it might be Binary who's the victim of that one, as it's just come off of cooldown. For now, it's a wild goose chase for the Wolverine. Everyone else a little bit faster than him as he plods along slowly and shortly behind them. And Fire Strays have already got a little bit of pressure on the point when it comes through to the cap here. And Sestroid's in a great position to continue laying down this fire. Clean fight.
Yeah, and kind of good balancing of those resources from Black. So if Frost Mountain claims anyone, he could deliver the bubble to them or even himself, while bringing up the shield against a Kaya Psionic Seduction. You need some kind of shield against that, and Shikigami will be reset. But they do have the Raging Royal Flush to engage with. Znaz about 25% behind, but this flank could be a nuisance. Fire Strays, they're on the jump, and they're on the backline of Shikigami here soon.
Yeah, they have a speed boost from a Raging Royal Flush, so they've outpaced this engagement quite well here. But what are you going to do when the Ruby rages? Usually, you've already seen the Indestructible Guard come out here from Isidore, and so this is your best chance to try and get some value off it towards the back. There's the extra damage, and Frost Mountain and Leolaz just find themselves absolutely atomized at the hands of Sestroid. Great timing from Closer.
Oh my god, this guy is popping off. Sestroid with back-to-back game-winning plays, or fight-winning plays, I should say. Even though Shikigami lost Lindstrom so early, Fire Strays didn't have to invest the Raging Royal Flush from Znost, which will be next on the menu, along with many other ultimates that Fire Strays have in store. And being in a defensive position, Shikigami have to find their way around.
All right, Snark's going to give extra speed here for everyone to try and disengage from Emma's feminine wiles. Inside of the Dance of a Butterfly, so things are not going well for the side of Shikigami. Slopper begins to cut through them with a Sonic Katana, and she will find her only this time. Can Frost Mountain even escape? Yes, just about.
About 80%. Shikigami have to now consider, are they going to portal? Are they going to have to race to the point? Might have to be Leolaz or somebody that has to sneak by, and Fire Strays are watching carefully. Now the race is on for Shikigami to have one last swing in this round, and they have a mountain to overcome when it comes to the score.
All right, fastball opens some space, but not much more than that. Does cost the healing regeneration factor of Frost Mountain. Binary going to be in trouble. Seems to have avoided the Feral Leap for now, so it's all down to Leilas. But guess what? Blackso's on top of this for now. However, they are going to have their Meteor M exploded. Couldn't handle the capacity, and Isidore is just dominating of a neutral. When it comes to the Gamma Collapse, the Hulk do begin to smash, and even an Omega level mutant cannot stand in front of a jolly green giant.
No, it's a good job from Leilas to go underneath the fight, go in touch, and it split the focus of Fire Strays, bringing closer towards the point, had him sort of isolated away from the rest of the team, and Shikigami locked down the correct targets. So now the Raging Royal flush advantage to Shiki's side, but Seshroid has defined a lot of these fights off of these Ruby Rages, but Shikigami needs to just position against it, be ready to avoid it, and I don't know if they can.
The Ruby Rage. Difficult to deal with, but extra movement speed never will hurt. Closer taken down by Kath. Oh, Kath with a double. She's got the ice arts going on right now, and what artistry she's created.
Thanks.
It's so nice to have that flank to anybody who wants to take an angle, which Sloppo has been very quiet in this map so far. Has been Fire Strays relying on the poke, as Frost Mountain's going to be hurled into the chaos of Fire Strays, who don't have a strat ult yet to try and mitigate this storm.
Frost Mountain noting the approach of Binary, just keeping him scared for now. It's all about the fear factor, as it seems like Shikigami have gathered up around the point to get maximum value from the Unbreakable Guard of the Hulk, and that is going to allow the Wolverines destroyed. Starts with the Ruby Rage, but Kath responds well. Already grabbing one and then moving in for extra damage boost from the Fate of Both Worlds. Blackso taken down here by Kaya, and guess what? Snost gets isolated from the Fate of Both Worlds by the last stand, dragged across the point and dragged across the pavement. Fire Strays, despite a strong opening, cannot close it out.
Shikigami, they're getting back into this. I don't know. I mean, Fire Stray Sloppo, he's learned his lesson. I mean, he was able to put on the pressure on Shikigami's strat line back on Celestial Husk, but he was on Star-Lord. There's iframes. There's maybe some better escapability. I don't know. We don't see what's going on with Sloppo, but Kath diffing Sloppo, getting these double eliminations, being the MVP. Shikigami's backline have just done this 180 compared to yesterday. And Fire Strays, how they're able to still support each other. I mean, you have zero casualties on Seshroid's side. Like, he's really carrying these fights too.
Oh, Snost is having some trouble getting involved in these. 5.2k healing so far. That's probably because Blackso is getting isolated so often by being grabbed by the Wolverine, and Binary doesn't really require that much healing on account of being a flanking Captain America. So this is probably meaning that they are having some trouble in terms of matching the pace of these strategist ultimates.
Nikaya, Emma, I mean, there's so much speed and mobility on the Fire Stray side, along with a Blackso Emma shield. It's going to be nice. Got to call out when that diamond form is going to be used. Such a long cooldown. That Emma mirror could also be what anchors the objective, while Binary and Isidore find their way around the perimeter, which right now Shikigami stand on this island as Binary wants to break them up.
All right, Freedom Charge breaks up multiple members of Fire Strays. Needs to get back to the team and start applying that over HP. However, Shikigami, they are going to be able to hold strong on the point for now. No additional space is being gained. In comes the Raging Royal Legend, though. Leilas is doing so much damage as they stop Sloppo in their tracks. And Binary just to do their best to run around the point. Back to Bruce Banner mode. Goes for Big Hulk. And so a quick escape into the arms of the healers to try and regenerate the rage that's necessary to activate that big green mode. Blackso grabbed by the Wolverine, and Kai is there for the finish, but Sloppo's returned with a Dancer of Butterflies in the back pocket. You can move towards the back line now. An escape might not be on the cards. Moves on in. A quick blast of Barrage to try and share out the damage, but Kath is left alone with no one there to help her. Isidore's back in the Hulk form, and now 15% for Shiki.
And even just the initial Raging Royal flush from Fire Strays, they just have Vanguards in their sight lines. But what they can depend on is the Seshroid picks from Leilas to Kath. He has been the difference maker for Fire Strays, but it's Shikigami that will have to give up the point eventually. Kath, though, with these picks, may cause a refight here for Shikigami.
Bro, what's she doing back there? my Luna on the wild flank getting the value. Third duelist, welcome back. Oh my goodness, and Kath has earned herself an ult off the back of this as well.
What an insane turnaround for Shikigami. You thought they were giving it up, and now they have not surrendered. And they'll have the Fate of Both Worlds, the fate in their hands to try and create a reverse sweep if they can win Warrior Falls.
Binary for now, exchanging fire with Isidore, uses the Indestructible Guard for his own HP at the moment, and that might mean that there's an opening here for Fire Strays to have a free ultimate. Stopper gets grabbed though by the last stand, taken back down onto Kai, who must have had a huge amount. Oh, what a freeze from Kath, and now can try and shut down Binary before anything goes too far. Sestroid still with the Ruby Rage, sees Kath, knows that they could try and blow through that ultimate, but instead is just going to disengage and allow this one to play out.
This Shikigami backline just seems so undiveable. Like, Kath is hitting her freezes. Lindstrom on Loki last map was so hard to hit, and Lindstrom is able to kind of patty cake with Kath well enough that Binary's value is just not there right now, or at least it's taking time to develop. 90%. Will Shikigami take Burn into T'Challa? Fire Strays will have one last swing at this.
Sestroid has two options for amplification when it comes to this Ruby Rage, either the Gambit or the Lunar Ultimate. Binary is already falling low with the Freedom Charge moving forward. Isidore has zoned away so many members of this backline. It has to be the Gambit to opt forward now. Ruby Rage going to be buffed on up, but it appears to have gone completely awry. Sestroid doesn't grab anybody, but Leolas has managed to find his man again and again. And when it comes to dominance over the point, Shikigami are just absolutely breaking down the world as the Hulk's fists pummel upon the masonry, and they are a war drum beat for Shikigami to march us to map number 5.
I can't believe it, and to do it with 100-0 on Warrior Falls, and this is a battle of two Warrior teams to decide who will stay alive in playoffs. Is it a reverse sweep or will it be denied? Deja vu from the preseason playoffs. We'll find out where we end the series after this.
2 back-to-back map 5 amazing series, honestly, after the sweet palooza that we saw yesterday, and they feel very different on this one too. I feel like a lot of that has to do just due to Shikigami kind of locking in with the composition that works out well for them, but also the backline really stepping up here, Lemon.
Absolutely. I mean, Kath and Lindstrom have just been untouchable. They've even doubled the heals of Closer and Znost, and Kath was a standout. Really wasting Binary's time, these freezes, even shutting down Sloppo, like winning a duel against a Psylocke is so massive for a strategist to be able to do. And Sloppo had the edge when he was on Star-Lord, but on this Psylocke, this is a whole different ball game, and Kath was controlling that chaos so well.
She did such a great job on the Luna Snow here specifically, not the Invisible One, but the Invisible One ban I feel like is also like another thing that can't be understated. And as we mentioned that, the last 2 times it's worked out very well in the favor of Shikigami. And Fire Strays, it just feels like when a specific team up or composition doesn't go their way, they kind of crumble here like that.
Yeah, like they're kind of nerfing Black Soul by getting rid of that Invis and Doctor Strange team up, which I think that, to be fair to Fire Strays, they were one of the pioneers of. One thing we didn't get to see on our classic strategist MVP card was like Kath had 6 final hits, which was tied second most on the team, which like she's got some motion on the Luna, and we're seeing why Luna is copying so many bans in the modern game.
And the motion definitely changed on Shikigami's side in terms of their approach, whether it's how they were supporting Frost Mountain on the previous map, opting for the Hulk instead of no fastball at all. But I think the story has been now the backline of Shikigami, how they're able to ward away people like Binary, who on the cap is one of the best ones to watch, I would say. But Shikigami's ability to anchor the objective, Kaya and Isidore solo casualties by just sitting on the point. It was 100-0 on Warrior Falls for a reason, and Fire Strays just didn't have enough coordinated damage to deal with those anchors and to ever flip the objective. And I wonder if it's because of like a discomfort of Sloppo on the Psylocke, or just good punish from Shikigami.
I'm really curious what the prioritization in terms of protects are going to be here for Fire, if they, you know, again, focus on the Gambit at the start once they're outside of Domination, because Domination's where they've been focusing on that Cyclops save just for Sestroid specifically. And shout out to them. I mean, 14-2, had the most finals on their team and in the game as well, with 9 on that Cyclops, and doing a great job for their squad. But subbed out this time, of course, because Damon will be back on the playing field for their team. And maybe you save the Invis just to try and counter the Wolverine, the fastball special, and also just have, you know, the invisible boundaries to keep your team up as well in some of these team fights. But there's a couple of different options that they can go for. It just feels like the darts that they are throwing at the wall right now are just not sticking in their favor for the win that this Fire Strays team needs. And maybe they'll have their own prevention of a reverse sweep, similar to what happened against them in the preseason playoffs. But with the way things are trending here, it just feels like it will be the other direction that things will go. And we could see the Shiki Slingshot finally come to play and be here, realized for the first time in the playoffs for Stage 1. But I'm more curious of what the map's going to be. What do we feel in here, Lemon?
I'm not sure. Something that would favor the Star-Lord. You know that this would be the better combo, at least for Sloppo. I think he's looked the best in this series on the Star-Lord. I hope that gets through, obviously. But Fire Strays came in with a game plan to dive with Binary's Venom, with Sloppo's Psylocke. But Shikigami, how they tempo up, really is messing with Fire Strays' ability to slow down the game.
We'll see it lower in Manhattan. Fire Strays played it before against Na'Vi. It looked pretty decent, was able to at least get a point from it off of the C9 that we saw there, which was pretty hilarious. But I don't think any of that's going to happen this time as we go into the ban draft.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I think the Fire Strays, they did look the best they did yesterday on lower Manhattan while going up against Na'Vi, which is a fairly tall order. And once again, I'm going to be interested to see if Shikigami here... Oh, there it is. Like, the big turning point in this matchup was the Invisible Woman ban on Central Park. So Fire Stray's like, fine, we're keeping Sue no matter what.
Absolutely. And yeah, kind of thinking back to the lower Manhattan side, like Fire Strays just swapped to so many different things. They actually ended up putting Demon on the Wolverine. There was some Bucky. We're getting rid of the Doctor Strange. I don't even remember the last time we've seen that, but I think to be able to portal back into fights, especially for that first point fight, is pretty a big deal.
I mean, yeah, you're right. The first fight portal is important, but also they're like, okay, you still can't have the Doctor Strange Invisible Woman team up. there are two people involved. If you protect one, we're still gonna ban the other, bro. That is unreal stuff from Shikigami. That they are drinking a full gallon of haterade against this team up.
And Shikigami stick to that last protect of the Wolverine because you know Fire Strays, they're trying to force that matchup yet again. That's why they keep the Invisible Woman. That's why you have the Star Lord. Although you just have to make sure you're not in reach of Frost Mountain because there's all the flips in your back pocket are not going to save you from the clutches of Frost Mountain. And we saw the pain of that on Central Park. And if I'm Fire Strays, I'm starting to get real nervous because you thought they had a handle on this series and they had an answer to Frost Mountain, but Shikigami are able to maintain this hero for him.
Well, I mean, it's a ridiculously tough mental battle, right? To be in this situation where not only are you being reverse swept, but you might be getting reverse swept out of Ignite and into promo relegation. Fire Strays were so close to victory they could taste it. And Shikigami, they have stolen the joy from their mouth. Literally reached into their mouths, stolen the joy, and I'll eat that.
And Fire Strays, kind of funny enough, when it comes to the preseason playoffs, Fire Strays were the ones who almost reverse swept Shikigami out of those preseason playoffs until Shikigami won in Game 5 and then eliminated Fire Strays. With Shikigami, can they make it a two-peat? Now it matters so much more because preseason wasn't affecting your standings in Stage 1. It's just, you know, money loss, which is important. But now, like we've all said, promo relegation is on the line.
And there's no safety for this team. They have a very wide variety of performances. You know, Fire, we've seen incredibly high highs, we've seen incredibly depressing lows. And unfortunately for Fire, they may be getting the depression low soon. However, with Sue back on their side for closer, they can do a much better job of shutting down Frost Mountain. One of the Shikigami main advantages here, though, is this portal.
And also the res beacon from Fire Strays. They've abandoned the gambit. It is open. They realize they really aren't winning decisive, convincing fights off the Raging Royal Flush. So Fire Strays are going back to old comforts, and having that forgiveness of that first pick may make a difference for this defense.
Actually, no Gambits present despite no bans on Gambit. Kind of crazy stuff has come through already. Black Souls had to back off due to the flight of the Wolverine, but now that the flying era is over, you can move on forward. We see a quick grab in, coming to try and grab Binary, and now it's Black Souls time. We see excellent patty cake here. This waltz, this dance of Fire Strays to keep the point contest and deny away that first tick of progress.
Yeah, I like this flip of the map from Fire Strays because you also want to play in choke points with Blackso, but he needs kind of a strong front line to help support him. You want to maintain the space if you're Groot to have these walls last as long as they can to create that arena, that fight, which Shikigami so far have already claimed 1/3 of the objective.
A lapse in the tango is allowed for that first point to come on through. A banhammer towards the back. I'm not sure who Binary targeted with that one. Likely one of the strategists to try and get that break point on the damage, but Kath now tries the counter strike. Out comes the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Fastball drives forward Frost Mountain, who for now is just going to be rebuffed by disengagement from Fire Strays. Oh, an attempted cancel there on the ultimate. Black So falling low, taken to the sky. Can the cleanse come through in time? You better believe that it doesn't. And now it's Leolas's turn to dominate in the neutral. Going up against their counterpart. They're actually body blocking everyone away from the point, and there's no touch forthcoming for Fire Strays, who put in the kennel, who put in the doghouse, but are they going to be put down entirely by Shikigami?
And that candle was starting to be lit, all thanks to Cap. Good placement on the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, completely zoning off Fire Strays, allowing that second tick to be earned so that Leolas could end it once and for all with the Kraken impact. Shikigami, you could tell, they're hungry. They want to be able to continue into playoffs and to pull off this reverse sweep as Demon's a little bit body blocked, but he's able to get out.
Good pocket coming through to make sure there's not an additional stagger here for Fire Strays, who now have a pretty healthy ult bank to try and work with. Yet again, the Vanguards, they are suffering. It is miserable to play against the fastball, especially if you're a Vanguard. And so a lot more is going to be looking towards Slothful and Demons to try and make something work here. Black So grabbed in. There's going to be plenty of healing. They managed to break through the invisible boundary, looking in towards the top. Yet again, an attempted shutdown here onto Damon, but unable to connect him into the wall, and so no final hit will come on through. Zos grabs Leylaz off the back of the extra damage from a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but Shikigami still pivoting to go on forward. Out comes the Banhammer from Binary. Yeah, they're going to test the aim of Shikigami, but Shikigami tend to pass those.
Yeah, I mean, Shikigami are just layering up, and such a good kidnap from Frost Mountain after they identified that the Ironwood wall from Blackstone was down, and then they got the claim, the Hulk bubbles, and through, like you said, the invisible boundary. Incredible. Big investments, though, for Shikigami to fully wipe out Fire Strays from this fight, and now that means Fire Strays have the ultimate advantage, but no strategist. Blackstone has to have a massive Strangling Prison, and when you have a Doctor Strange shield, when you have Hulk bubbles, it's going to be really difficult for Blackstone to pull off.
Fine, need perfect objective discipline here. Who gets grabbed into the ultimate? It seems we're all in on Isidore. Is there a reset though? Sloppo in onto Bruce Banner. He's just a little scientist, but Sloppo says no to the science. Once again, resets off the back of a Kraken impact. I think that's hit Kaya Leylaz too. Even more resets to come on through as Kath falls next. You've got to look towards that back cap though. Do not have this ultimate. Do not have this ultimate take you away from that objective.
Where is this door? Okay, he finally falls off the map because you do not want to be staggered at this point. Still 2.5 minutes, but yeah, Shikigami, I like that disengage. You're not giving up too much ult charge to Fire Strays, and Blackstone, yeah, not getting a ton of value off the Strangling Prison, but he did confirm the elimination with the wall that was placed behind Isidore. A lot more focus going into the Vanguards, but mostly coordinated focus out of Fire Strays, which is what hindered them back on Burn into T'Challa, as now things are all reset. Strategist ultimate-wise, Kath will be the furthest ahead when it comes to the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Shikigami have to fight through a strong neutral. 2 Buckies, or 1 Bucky actually, will have to exchange as Leylaz is on the Star-Lord.
High ground stolen away. Frost Mountain doesn't get anything off the Feral Leap, and so for now, Shikigami are down on one of their major engagement tools. Instead, it's going to be Isidore who goes in, backed up by the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. You can see the resurrection already beginning on the BRB here, and it returns Blackstone to the fray. So Kaya has to worry now about getting pinched in between a pair of Vanguards. The closer going down complicates things massively. But it's not going to do enough healing here for Fire Strays. Only Znost will remain, and Lindstrom being chased out on the other side is easily grabbed in. Huge play from downtown there. Kaya with a LeBron dunk.
Yeah, once you identify that Binary doesn't have bubble, like there really isn't anything to mitigate a Strangling Prison from Kaya's side. And now to capture that second objective, this is massive for Shikigami. I mean, Manhattan is already such a difficult map to approach. I mean, some teams can't even cap the point. Shikigami had a game plan to even portal behind, and now they've denied that chance for Fire Strays to keep the marathon going. But you have the invisible boundary. If Frost Mountain gets a good claim, Closer has to react.
Frost Mountain wanted this, but Leylaz is going to be the first one to move here. Cosmic Yarn versus Cosmic Yarn, but Slopper and Black, so they were actually cut off from the LOS of the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier by the walls of Kaya. Excellent setup here from the Vanguard of Shikigami. You can see that Damon's already been checked. Leylaz with a clean clip. Can they get the finish here? There needs to be a heal coming through, and it will be the Guardian Shield.
Yeah, now that you don't have the Doctor Strange from Shikigami, maybe Blackstone will have an easier time trying to have that fight-winning Strangling Prison. Now that Shikigami only have a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to try and respond, he goes for it and doesn't stun anyone.
Oh, shutting down Demon before he could deploy the ultimate. Leylaz's tracking was perfect there, and it feels like Blackstone didn't get anything off the back of their own Strangling Prison. Now Slopper moves on in. Leylaz is afflicted with the Cull, but just manages to get out and away from all of this danger. I don't think they've even taken down a Loki clone here, so... Oh, wait, no, Slopper does have a second go in towards the back, joined by Binary. It's all in, all the cards on the table here for Fire. They need to find a final blow. There's still a resurrection on the table as well, as about a recall beacon shuts them all into this back corner. Sloppo, I believe, rebuffed, denied by Isidore. Perfect timing on the indestructible guard. This is the value that the Hulk brings, and he's about to bring even more as he flings Frost Mountain into the midst of Fire Strays. Damon can try and shut them down here. On the off angle, he's grabbed once again, sliced on through. Bro's had to hold his ult for like 3 lives now, as Damon is just going to be having to respawn again and again and again, and so too does everyone else for Strangling Prison. Shuts them down. Isidore's there with flying verdant fists of pummeling fury, and as Damon emerges from the spawn once again, all he can do is scream at the legend, what was to be, but what never could be. You just have to flee, and that's all you can do for Fire, a wipe from the board.
And Demon is sent straight to hell. Bro is on the flank, and Shikigami marked that perfectly. The comms are just so good from Shikigami's side. They are playing so fast. I mean, Frost Mountain is getting hurled into there. Plus, Isidore, fight-winning indestructible guard for his team when Blackstone threw a strangling prison. That could have been what stabilized Fire Strays to have them take a breath in their lungs. It felt like this has been non-stop fighting from Shikigami. And Fire Strays not able to win a single one, except maybe at the second point. And it really took everything out of Blackstone to really be the playmaker of this team, because Demon and Sloppo rather quiet trying to go up against Shikigami's duelists.
Lelas is quietly having an absolutely manic game so far. And, oh man, it's been rough for Sloppo and Demon thus far. 6-6, admittedly 10-4 is not too bad, but Fire Strays, it feels like they're not finding the opportunities. They're not getting too much value off their strangling prisons at the moment. They're just constantly shut down by the Hulk, and finally, Binary is going to match on the Hulk. This is actually one of Binary's best heroes, but he's been too reticent to actually use it.
Now, taking a page out of Shikigami's book, can you beat them in that pseudo mirror? There's going to be a difference of hit scan duelist, Elsa versus Star-Lord. And I'm really liking the Elsa approach from teams like Virtus Pro to chunk down these really high health Vanguards with that percentage health damage and a much stronger ultimate compared to a lot of these hit scan duelists with that Apex Predator. Especially if you take a fight in a long lane, you're going to get a lot of value out of Leila's.
Leila's value cannot be understated. And of course, the Apex Predator is going to be a major factor later on as well. Sloppo starting to work around the outside. Could find the battle recall beacon before the fight even begins, but their location has been noted out here by Leila's, and surely has been just reflected to the remainder of the team.
Lindstrom just has to be elusive as possible. Speaking of elusive, Sloppo just dodges through the initial Shikigami counter dive as Fire Strays step forth into the arena and try to get this objective going. But Shikigami's anchors is what's really hindering Fire Strays right now.
Sloppo just can't find any purchase. Every single angle seems to be checked here. If you're going to top left, it's checked by the Elsa. Top right, Frostmount and Isidore are leaping up to you with absolutely zero mercy. But the Vanguards have made moves here from Fire, claimed a bunch of space and allows for a blaster barrage. A quick TP out to get your health back and have a moment to rest and recuperate, as Damon has got themselves an early move forward. Now it's Frost Mountain who leads the charge. Extra damage coming in from the strangling prison. Good bubble coming through on the other side. Now Kaya counter strikes. A multitude of squishies are caught within these grasping vines, and it just seems that Lindstrom wants this done here and now. The God of Mischief summons the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Damon has had to put themselves home.
Yeah, Binary lost that Hulk form, so wasn't able to deliver this indestructible guard to guard against the strangling prison, while even Blackstone tried to mark that against Shikigami, but Isidore brought that back up almost immediately. This late stagger is really starting to hurt the Hulk Strays as their time bank is brought down to only 2 minutes, and they can't have portal shenanigans. They don't have Doctor Strange, so there's less time to play with than you think.
No second chances. When it comes to that portal, seems like Apex Predator actually hit Kaya's wall. Bad comms there from Shikigami. Might be a little bit of a tilter. You can't let it get to you, though. At this point, you just need to have all hands on deck. Everyone get behind the plan. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier going to begin the assault onto Shikigami's point. It's Nos who summoned that one. There's going to be a second one from Closer afterwards. So you need to win out on multiple instances of the battle here. Cav says here we win the first on the back of my Cosmic Yarn. Frost Mountain looking for an opening. Last stand ready to go. Gets isolated. Smacked on down by Binary. Picking up his signature hero finally to match up against Isidore. And now Slot, and now you need to try and find some value from Sloppo. In the midst of all of this, has the Galactic Legend, looks towards the back layer, Laz is down, Isidore's now at the HP to make this one work. Oh, Frost Mountain from across the map slams into the wall, and Sloppo just has to watch on from afar as his team may well have to close up this point without them. Strangling Prison grabs in 3, there's no shield this time to play with, and Binary and Sloppo are too close to the fire, and Kaya burns them down.
And Nazi Closer might have even doubled the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Sloppo had a Galactic Legend and never was able to have an opportunity to find it. Even through Binary forcing the regen domain of Lindstrom, Fire Strays couldn't identify the best opportunity to fight. And the opportunity is a potential reverse sweep if Fire Strays do not get their stuff together. Only 30 seconds left.
All right, Blackstone caught on the other side of the Ironwood wall right now. So much damage is coming their way. Aggressive place here from Shikigami. That's going to be the strangling for I believe it's got 4 players inside of it from Fire, but it's a great regeneration domain. Black so you can't go back to swap to Strange. He doesn't exist anymore. Maybe going over onto the Angela to get that additional speed to move towards the point, knowing that there's going to be so much in the way of it. But no, he's just walking back out on the crew. Bro simply forgot. He forgot. He didn't know. Damon around the outside. Someone else has got to touch. 1 second to try and make it happen, and overtime is used. Kath brings out the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Damon begins to cut through the verdant flesh of the Hulk. But with 92% of the way towards ultimate, this could be the game changer here for Fire Strays. It's not ultimate now. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier deployed, and extra damage comes through. You get them out of the regeneration domain that was brought out by Lindstrom, who's so close in towards the back. Damon's on a redemption arc, and Lindstrom tries to deny it, but this map is exceeding our expectations one last time.
Fire Strays literally claw their way back in. That was a clutch health pack grab from Demon, and to buy enough time for 10% ult charge is all Snas and Closer needed to have the edge, to have the 1 Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to finally get the convincing fight that they needed. But that took the entirety of their time bank. They're so far behind. Fire Strays are almost going to need a flawless push because the journey is not done yet, and it could be over if you do not handle Shikigami.
The peel is solid, but Frost Mountain's back. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier now good to go, and there's going to be a second battle recall beacon as well off the back of that copied rocket. And so you can get a little bit more brave, a little bit more courageous, and you need to do it. You need to have your heart in your very throat right now. Black So grabs 2 with the follow-up here, but I don't think there's going to be anyone to really move up onto the high ground and follow up upon that strangling prison.
Oh,
Sloppo, no?
Oh, Sloppo is asleep.
Sleepo, unfortunately, and Black So and Closer sleeping permanently.
And Shikigami, yeah, they're trying to be really careful with the off angles that they take. And Fire Strays also doing the same thing, but Galactic Legend, Shikigami, there's no shelter for you except behind the regen domains.
Oh, guess who's doing it
God.
again? Yeah, cut away from that one. Too hot for TV. This is going to be Binary coming down the mid side. So much damage going to be taken from the Wolverine. The percentage HP damage just cuts through the World Breaker. Adamantium meets flesh, bone, and sinew, and it cuts through with no mercy.
47 seconds, Fire Strays, they got us all on the edge of their seats. Is it going to be the 2-peat of Shikigami eliminating them from playoffs to promo relegation? They can go. Sloppo shut down on his Galactic Legend. All eyes are on Demon. If he can cosplay Frost Mountain the best, as he's going to be hurled in to the action at any second here from Binary, as Isidore is going to do the same thing for Frost Mountain.
Looking for a victim. Frost Mountain doesn't find one just yet. Just controls the high ground, and now is just going to try and rejoin the remainder of their team. That constant threat of the Wolverine could be everything. Demon appears to have been stunned somewhere. Maybe going up against Binary, who gets grabbed on in. Doesn't even have time to pop the indestructible guard. Unbelievable target focus. You've got to get inside of the greens, but the greens are so far away from the objective itself. And so it's an arduous march here for Fire to keep the objective contested. Black So grabbed away. Demon with the last stand. Seems that the regeneration domain has got everything that they need. And the Shiki slingshot has been pulled back, and it's been fired towards the homes of Fire themselves. Shikigami refuse to lose. They deny the tide. They deny death, and they bring themselves further into the brackets.
Isidore on his feet. Kaya broke his webcam. What a series that we've had between these two teams as the rivalry will end for now. Shikigami reverse sweep, and to identify, I think that was the Black So Diamond form to try and anchor, and then to claim her with the Wolverine. I mean, the coordination for Shikigami. Really pressure makes diamonds, and they shine the brightest, being 0-2 in the series, to come back on their map picks and to punch down against Fire Strays, sending them to promo relegation.
All right, let's bring Vodable back in here because we need to catch our breath, and Vodable, I'm sure, has been waiting to go with this one.
Oh my gosh, what a series. Like, down to the wire, the final hour, it felt like there was a bit of a bounce back from Fire Strays towards the end of it, mirroring the compositions, the Hulk fastball special battle between the two, but it just felt like one team had practiced it a little bit more than the other. And I feel like if we went back to the drawing board, did another iteration of this matchup like a week later on, then it might have been a different story, a different result completely. If Fire Strays were prepared for this composition, but they weren't. It seemed like Shikigami were holding it close to their chest. They realized, hey, it's game time. We got to turn things around, and we'll see what they could do from here on out in the lower bracket. But they have secured stage 2 for Shikigami. Now we'll face off against Heretics tomorrow to try and make it that much closer to a potential land spot. That's going to be a very intense series because Shiki hasn't beaten Heretics yet there. But congratulations to them either way on the victory for this one. It just seemed like they had such a good grasp of the meta in this specific matchup, whereas before it just felt like they were a little lost in the first 2 games. So feel bad for Fire Strays, but they gave it their all throughout the series, even towards the end there, Lemon.
Yeah, Shikigami have an identity, and they were almost so stubborn around it, almost to a deficit, until they finally made these small adaptations, throwing the Hulk in there, the support that came around Frost Mountain, and the focus to go after the Fire Strays Vanguard line. I mean, Binary just got so punished from his Captain America on Burn into T'Challa getting frozen up by Kath, to then trying to run the Hulk, getting walled off, getting just chewed up out there. And it was so hard for Blackso and Binary to sync up when they also didn't have a Doctor Strange, which was kind of a highlight of Blackso, which his Groot is also great, but Kaya's Groot was that much greater when his strangling prisons didn't have a lot of shields to stop him.
17 final hits from Kaya. I mean, that is an MVP performance and then some, and was the main difference maker, I would say, for this team. Able to put up the Groot walls whenever the fastball special kidnaps came through and just shut down any healing that could have came in and bailed out those players, even with the Invisible Woman that they had available to try and shut them down. I mean, just the timing of the ultimates, forcing them to swap compositions to mirror, and unfortunately, as I mentioned before, Shikigami just had a better grasp of this specific matchup. So great win for them. Fire Strays gave it their all, and I'm sure any team that faces them in pro relegation is going to have their work cut out for them leg day.
Oh, it's going to be an angry Fire Strays team, I imagine, that goes to Premier relegation, and some MRC teams may face the brunt of that, unfortunately. And they might find themselves in a little bit of a better meta for themselves as well. But honestly, like, all flowers here to Shikigami. Like you were pointing out Kaya. I think that Kaya's primary fires were also incredibly important for following up on so many of these fastballs. Didn't escape my notice that Frost Mountain was doing a fantastic job when he got these kidnaps of putting them down in front of Kaya, so they were in that wall range, as you pointed out, but also in the primary fire range. That's one of the reasons why we saw Binary unable to get their indestructible guard out in the ultimate fight. That's meant that they got taken down to Bruce Banner form immediately after getting kidnapped.
And Shikigami took a big risk allowing the Invisible Woman from closer to get through on the bans. That was something they were starting to target to just kind of further enable Frost Mountain on his dives. But then to take out the Doctor Strange, I mean, reduce the number of fights that Fire Strays could have gone for on their attack, along with any strategy shenanigans, especially if you mark that in scrims. Some people are actually going behind the point these days with the Doctor Strange and try to create better opportunities for their Groot or whoever is trying to dive. So Fire Strays were completely thrown off their game, and not having as strong of a Loki compared to Lindstrom, and trying to rely away from the Gambit, which Fire Strays weren't having convincing Gambit ult fight wins, that they felt they need to go to Rocket and Loki to end it all. And it was close, but Fire Strays lost so much time on the point.
What a series is all I have to say after that one. Both teams gave it their all, fighting tooth and nail. Yes, there were mistakes and some messy plays, but they still put it all out there on the battlefield. So GG's to both teams, of course, throughout that series. Shikigami just played better at the end of the day throughout those final couple of maps. But we do have our interviewee to give us some insight into how they came up with the compositions and everything else. It's Ash, the coach for Shikigami. Welcome in to the broadcast. I just got to know, how is the team feeling after that victory, getting a reverse sweep where last time they prevented a reverse sweep in the best of 5 against Fire?
Well, reverse sweeps always feel great, obviously, but I think we really had to work for this one. I mean, Fire Strays, I mean, all the flowers go to them. They were incredible. They put us in very, very, very uncomfortable positions. Obviously, I have my comfort over here. I'm holding. But the whole entire team could not be happier. I think everyone was screaming. Everyone was excited. We were max passion, as we were saying in the VC. It was everyone was really working their hardest, and I'm only proud.
We had our theories regarding how you turned it around when it came to both the bans and how the game was played, but what was the call after the second map? Was your setup for the third map predetermined before you started the game, or was this a live adaptation you made?
So it was kind of a bit of both. We had pre-adapted like a backup plan basically, and this was kind of one of the strategies that we had. We didn't want to really rely on our ace card. Didn't want to make it too easy, obviously, for us off the gate. So we had to make the adaptation in the middle. We sort of decided that we wanted to play for the Wolverine, the fastball, obviously, as you saw, and I mean the rest is history.
And this was such a stressful series to watch, and we're not even the ones playing or involved on the team. I can't imagine how you feel. Who is the person on the team that is kind of keeping everyone posed and locked in, and kind of to look at the series as in 0-0 instead of 0-2?
I mean, honestly, I can't tell you one specific person. I think everybody was putting in their part. It was like the best team environment I think I've been in so far. Like, it was just everyone was putting max passion in. Everybody wanted to win. They were all on the same page. Everyone is like, it's us versus the problem. Well, how can we solve it? Rather than people, blaming each other and just falling into like, I don't know, tilt and like messaging other people and all that kind of other stuff. It was pretty crazy. So overall for us, I think we locked in quite well, and it was the whole entire team. All credit goes to them.
Obviously, you've got a pretty strong pro play background yourself, so you've got a good eye for the game. I was wondering if there's any great plays you saw that made the difference that we might have missed during the reverse sweep.
Well, there were a few obviously phenomenal grabs. I mean, that's kind of like the main character of the composition. So of course he's going to make those kind of plays. But one big shout I wanted to give was to my support specifically. I feel like they were put in very uncomfortable positions and they pushed through really, really heavily. And I'm not going to do the standard thing of praising everybody, but I think everybody had a massive part to play into trying to push through this kind of thing, push through this barrier. But that's all I have to say, really.
So my final question for you as we close up this interview, so you guys can go celebrate and kind of strategize for the next day of competition. You're facing off against Heretics, haven't gotten a win against this roster yet. You don't have to give us the entire game plan, but what are you going to change going into that matchup compared to the previous matches to make sure you get that victory?
Well, first of all, we're going to go in with a refuse to lose mindset, to be honest with you. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and we want it more. We haven't been there before. We haven't been to LAN. We haven't, done this or done that. So we're obviously probably going to try and want it a lot more than they will. I think that's the sort of mentality that we need to go. And I feel like me being an add-on to the team new, I feel like I give us the little tiny bit of a push that you guys saw from preseason for us to beat this roster. I think we can beat this roster now if we work hard enough.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ash, for joining us. Congratulate the team on our behalf and go enjoy your win.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Great to hear the insight. The spirits are high after a very high intense series, stressful as we like to say it. I'm sure they're going to be having nightmares about being 0-2 and having to pull off that reverse sweep, but they did it. So dreams do become reality at the end of the day for that roster as they continue their journey in the playoffs. But I mean, Lemon, any final thoughts from you before we head to a break and get to our final series?
I just wanted to see the second cat. It kind of popped up at the end there for Ash's camera. But also, this is the second time that Shikigami have eliminated Fire Strays from